Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Star Wars has been in quite the state since Disney acquired it, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of them situations where, the fans' reception have been, rather mixed, to be generous, when it comes to all things Disney. Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm, under the helm of the wonderful and talented Kathleen Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't we see how well she's done steering Star Wars in the wonderful direction we've all seen it go into, with the absolute disastrous dumpster fire of all things that have been on the Disney Plus series, as far as the downhill and downtrodden, how the ratings just continue to go down, and how it turns out that, yes, actually, the rise of Palpatine did end up losing them hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, because, yes, thank God for the UK and their tax filing requirements, where all of that stuff gets exposed. Well, this kind of nonsense, we thought maybe, at least for a little while, the Star Wars games might actually be safe from those, because we got some great situations with, like, Fallen Order, and then they want the sequel that followed up to it. A lot of people really enjoyed, too. I know I had a blast playing Fallen Order. It was a great actually going through and playing as a Jedi and doing all the flips and everything else. It was a great time. But ladies and gentlemen, the latest outing in the Star Wars franchise video game series out there, Star Wars Outlaws, has been heavily criticized for the absolute abysmal graphics that they have showed in the previews. The IGN out there simply simping and trying to push out there saying that this stuff is good and the game looks great, even though anybody with two sets of eyes and a halfway decent sense of a brain inside of their head can realize that this thing looks buggy and quite broken, and I cannot wait to see what a disaster of dumpster fire it is when it comes out to August 30th. So you'd think that a lot of the time nowadays, when we see kind of a little bit of a swing in the gaming industry, and honestly a swing in the culture overall, people pivoting and actually listening to their fans and actually going out there and fixing things, i.e. maybe the Sonic guys out there who heard the criticisms of a lot of the graphics issues out there and turned around and fixed it, and have turned into a very successful franchise. Well, boys and girls, that's simply not going to happen over there at Ubisoft, Star Wars, or Lucasfilm Games in any way, shape, or form, because guess what, boys and girls? Your criticisms don't matter, because just like every other time in the past where they have tried to deflect over a broken, buggy, or bad game, or in any case, an actual Star Wars show that turns out the exact same way as these broken and buggy games will end up, they deflect. They say, well, we're not going to pay attention to that because you're just bad faith. You're a phobe or an ist or some other kind of nonsense BS term they've come up that they've overused and overplayed time and time again. And it looks like we're going to get the exact same thing with Star Wars Outlaws, because not only has Ubisoft said flat out they are not going to try to fix any of the complaints people have had, doesn't matter how drastically ratioed their trailers get, it doesn't matter how much pushback IGN gets for simping for this game, where it's clearly, obviously, buggy and broken. No, boys and girls, at the end of the day, these people believe they are your betters. They know better than you. They will tell you what you want. They will tell you what you love. And if you don't like it, well, you're just a bad faith person, and they're going to ignore you. Well, by all means, go ahead. Star Wars, you've been ignoring the fans for over a decade at this point, and where has that got you? One disastrous dumpster fire after another, wasting billions of dollars, not only buying the rights to the whole brand, but the hundreds of millions of dollars, nigh $1 billion you have wasted on your Disney Plus services, streaming service shows, as well as in the box office, and now hundreds of millions of dollars more wasted on a game that will be broken, buggy, and will not work when it comes out. And guess what? They don't care what you think. So we're going to check out this article from thegamer.com, getting all the juicy details of exactly what this moron said. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, because we are literally inches away from 1,000 subscribers, followers, boys and girls, and I could not do that without every single one of you. So please subscribe and leave us a comment down below on whether or not you're disappointed and you were hoping that the Star Wars games might be one of the few places we still get good quality Star Wars content, or are you still holding out hope for Outlaws that it might actually be good and maybe just the previews are just a bad representation of what the game will be? Boy, if you believe that, by all means, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. So, Star Wars Outlaw lead calls out bad faith people over K-Vest looks. And yes, boys and girls, we have seen the uglification of our characters in modern era time and time again. Hey, by the way, how's the Lara Croft fans feeling out there, ladies and gentlemen? So Ubisoft has seen itself at the center of a couple of character-focused controversies in its biggest games this year. Those being Assassin's Creed Shadows, yeah, Ask Japan how they feel about that one. And Star Wars Outlaws. Well, the arguments over Yusuke have been a lot more vitriolic, not particularly helped by Ubisoft's slightly tame statements on the matter. Oh, you mean their half BS apology that fell flat with absolutely everyone, including the simps for this game, that actually fully support the rewriting of Japanese history? Yeah, it didn't really work out very well for them at all. Let's see. Star Wars Outlaws protagonist Kay Vess also got some grief closer to the game's reveal because she's a woman that doesn't have a giant chest and isn't built like a dump truck. Oh yes, God forbid we have pretty women with curves. She doesn't even have to have curves. But have you seen the look of this chick? Have you seen her voice actress? Her voice actress is gorgeous. Why would you intentionally uglify these characters? Oh, that's right. It's probably a self-insert either of what you look like on the outside or what your soul looks like internally because of all the rot you've shoved inside of it and all the pacts you've made with hell in order to get in the positions you've gotten at this point. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, trust me, you're a servant of the underworld. But that goes on. Arguments raged online about Kay's looks, similar to the arguments we've seen with the likes of Alloy and Jonah Dart from the Horizon Forbidden West. Oh yes, that's right, because once again, the character model looked a lot nicer, and then it didn't pan out very well at all. Or the Perfect Dark reboot. Oh yes, the Perfect Dark reboot, where they intentionally went through and uglified all of the characters away from their actual original models that looked rather nice and was actually pleasing to not only male fans, but also females. Because guess what? Contrary to these idiots' belief out there, girls like looking at pretty girls too. Thankfully, Star Wars, thankfully, oh yes, thankfully, it's so thankfully, gamer, could you simp any harder at this point? Thankfully, Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Gerighty is paying no attention to that nonsense, and recently said in an interview with the Washington Post that he thinks those particular arguments are from bad faith people and aren't worth engaging with. Yes, boys and girls, you, the paying customer, you, the fan, you, the gamer, your opinion doesn't matter. If you don't like their game, well then don't buy it. How well has that argument worked out for people in the past? Kay is meant to be approachable, a petty thief who ends up barreling through this story, making bad decisions, so centered with a lot of humor, humility, and toughness. That's what's important to me. And she's beautiful. Come on. It makes no sense to me, and it's not worth engaging with. If you engage with bad faith people, there's no nuance and no possibility of real dialogue. Then explain why you just ignore and IGN continues to just cover up your horrendous graphics that we have pointed out time and time again. Not only in this channel, but the entire gaming sphere out there has pointed out that exact same thing to you as well. So, yeah, we've got an issue with the plain Jane uglification of characters that you have done over and over and over again. Lara Croft on the PlayStation looks better than this nonsense. I mean, seriously? Gerighty goes on to explain the only thing Massive Entertainment is focused on right now is trying to make the best game possible. Really? Explain the buggy AI you showed off in the IGM gameplay while they were trying to simp for your game over what obviously was a broken and buggy game that looks like trash in your own promotional material from San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Star Wars Outlaws has been under the microscope ever since it was revealed, partly down to the whole K-Vest thing, while also partly down to Ubisoft's reputation as a whole. And why does Ubisoft have that reputation, gamer? But it's had to bat away rather ridiculous criticisms of late, including a call to delay the game over its completely fine graphics. If you think those graphics are completely fine, by all means go and reference the last video I put out over Star Wars Outlaws completely and totally destroying, mocking, and ridiculing all of those horrendously bad graphics that literally, I think my Shadows of the Empire on my Nintendo 64 when I was in 5th grade had better graphics than what we see in the spaceships for this abysmally bad Star Wars game in 2024. You can kind of understand the cautiousness of Star Wars fans at this time. What with Ubisoft's tried formula draining away any semblance of interest in future projects, But Gerighty also stated that Star Wars Outlaws just isn't another Ubisoft game. It's an approach to leveling and a focus on quality over quality. Quality over quality? I think they probably meant quality over quantity. So not only can the gamer only simp for this game, I mean, I'm really wondering, how much did Disney pay you? How much did Lucasfilm, how much did Ubisoft pay the gamer and pay IGN in order to simp this hard for a game that is obviously broken and buggy, and everybody can see that, and the world's going to find that out and confirm it on August 30th, and you all are already going to look like bigger fools than everyone already knows you to be. Like, you do realize how dumb this is going to make you look when this game comes out, right? You do realize how much egg you're going to have on your face. But that's okay. It doesn't matter, because anything is worth that paycheck that they cut you. Anything is worth pimping for the spirit of the age. Anything is worth sacrificing on the altar of the agenda, isn't it? Isn't it? Its approach to leveling, although we'll have to see what the final game looks like when it launches on August 30th. Oh yes, and oh yes, I can't wait. I can't wait. Because the old adage of go woke, go broke exists for a reason, boys and girls. Because we have seen this time and time again. History doesn't just repeat itself, it also rhymes. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Ubisoft, Star Wars, whether it be Disney Star Wars with the television shows and the movies and all of that kind of stuff, or the gaming industry overall as a whole, uglifying characters, focusing more on agenda-driven nonsense and pushing their agenda, and diversity hires and paying off all of their diversity consultants, instead of concentrating on good quality gameplay and actual good graphics. We've seen the trailers from this game. We've seen the gameplay that IGN showed off. We've seen the promotional material that they put out. It's very obvious with anybody out there with two eyes to look that this game is broken and buggy. Now, with the 30 to 29 days, so odd days that they have left before this game actually launches, will they be able to fix any of it? Maybe. Will they care to fix any of it? Probably not. Because as you can tell from this article that we just went over and the things he said, they're high on their own supply. They don't care what you say. They don't care what their customers think. They don't care what the fans of Star Wars out there think. All they care about is to make sure that check from Kathleen Kennedy and that pat on the back at the cocktail parties for going, yeah, you owned those phobes, you owned those ists, you uglified that chick, and they're going to suck it up and they're going to like it, they're going to play it, they're going to enjoy it. Well, guess what? As we've proven time and time again, nerds, geeks, gamers, and everybody else that's a fan of Star Wars out there is smarter than you. We always have been. And that's the thing you never realized. You think you're the superior version to all of us. And at the end of the day, just like the oldest story in the Bible of someone who thought they could be like God and ended up getting fallen all the way down, you will do the same. Star Wars Outlaws will fail, just like Lucifer fell from heaven. Because you once again have put your own ego and your own narcissism above everything else. You think you're better than everyone that came before you. And as always, pride before the fall. So enjoy the fall, Star Wars Outlaws. I can't wait to report on the disastrous dumpster fire this game will no doubtably be. And guess what? You did it to yourself.